Hey there, party people, and welcome to People Stuff, a weekly anthropological advice show hosted by me, Dan, and my colleague, Michael. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. I was recently reading the Well-Found newsletter. Do you read this newsletter, Dan? It's Well-Found.
No.
It's about startups. Startups. And I found
I'm liking
this
this less and less.
No, it's great. It's a great newsletter. I mean, 90% of the time they spend talking about AI, but aside from that, it's a great newsletter.
Is this like well-found, like you have founded a company well? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a clever little something or other. Yeah.
Okay.
But apropos some advice we've given in the past, they had this great tip about how to write job descriptions. And it was this hiring tip: brutal honesty in job posts attracts 10 times stronger candidates.
Oh, okay, but we've already established that when we're describing a job, there's an infinity of detail to select from. So when you're being brutally honest, what sort of a filter does that create for the details you pick?
Well-Found writes, what doesn't work? Sanitized corporate speak that hides the real job requirements and culture. Here's what does work: brutal honesty that makes people self-select in or out. That's what you want to do.
Hold on. Look, this is pushing against corporate jargon, which, on an abstract plane, I love. I despise corporate jargon. I don't want to hear about impactful KPIs or any of that bullshit. However,
I've always wondered what a KPI is.
I do my best to forget it every time someone teaches it to me, so I will never admit to knowing what it is, because I always want to be able to say, "Oh, what's that?"
Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly don't know what it is.
Experiment.
I've heard it a million times. I just realized, wow, yeah, it is. Okay, but anyways, here's the case study they use. A hardcore hedge fund, they call it. Okay, they do a consciousness-focused venture firm. Went woo-woo in the job description. Okay, hardcore hedge fund. Posted no vacation for 2 years, 16-hour days up front. Went viral, attracted candidates who were genuinely excited about the grind. So they got a bunch of sociopaths with no social life who are willing to not take a vacation and just work 16 hours a day. But they got what they want. And they write, authentic posts work because they repel people who don't belong and magnetize those who do. Candidates want transparency, not fairy tales, at least the best of them. Yeah. So our advice to Overbaked was on the money. Brutal honesty is the only true currency in the job market.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you learn how to speak the corporate jargon, you don't need someone to say no vacation for 2 years. You can get that from the actual job advertisement. If you're applying to a hedge fund and they talk about, the market hours that they keep.
Well-Fund's opinion is this. You get candidates who care about inner work and expansion, not the grind, right?
Right. But are we presuming there are people applying to work at a hedge fund that don't know how hedge funds work?
Apparently that's what Well-Fund thinks, yeah. I mean, that's a totally different question, but that is apparently what they think, yeah. They did not realize. It's every year I get these students who are excited to apply for internships at places like Amazon. Oh. And I'm last year I got one. I tried to talk them out of it for an entire quarter. Do you know what you're signing up for?
Do you want to pee in a bucket?
I mean, are they even going to pay you?
Yeah. Do you like the people in your life? Do you want to maintain social relationships with them?
Oh my God, these they get these internships at investment banks or hedge funds. I had one at an internship at American Express, and it's in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer. It's oh my God. So what'd you do all day? So there's nothing to do, just inside working under the air conditioning.
That's a blessing. 16 hours a day in the office, and then you go outside at midnight and it's 80 degrees out. And
exactly.
So
but it's a dry heat, so.
Said the skeleton lying under a tree.
The skeleton, yeah.
The thing about the brutal honesty thing is the infinity of details. The hedge fund, the hedge fund says no vacation for 2 years, 16-hour days up front, right? Brutally honest, perhaps accurate, perhaps not. Probably not accurate for the CEO of the hedge fund, and probably not accurate for the administrative staff. But we'll let that slide.
They weren't hiring for CEOs, Dan.
We'll let that slide. We'll let that slide.
You know what? You need to learn to respect your social betters a little better, I would say.
Are you my high school principal?
I'm beginning to understand your high school principal. Yeah.
But like you could say, if the only criteria for the job posting was to be brutally honest, like you could say your office has industrial carpeting, you will be sitting on squeaky office chairs, and you'll have 7 monitors in front of you.
That's
and we
exactly
stop
what
the
I would
refrigerator with LaCroix. Like
That's
that would
exactly
be
what I would
as
say.
honest as the 2 years, 16-hour days, whatever. But like there's some kind of a value cut that they're deciding what part of the brutal honesty is important for you to know.
Yeah, of course, and that probably comes to how much it costs to have an ad, right? I mean, how many words people are going to read. I mean, that, there's a value cut. Yeah, it probably has to do with people's attention, not with any lack of detail. But I would be all
some
for
details
that, yeah.
are more important than others, and then you get
No
to the
view,
selection logic,
or
and then there's the
wall
value
view.
of the place.
Yeah, you have a wall view. You'll be 2 feet or 18 inches from your neighbor, who's annoying.
The air will be recycled. The coffee
air
will
will
be
be
stale.
recycled.
There will be
Absolutely.
rotting fruit in the break
That's
room.
right. All designed to keep you at your desk because it's so miserable. Bathroom breaks will be monitored. Yeah.
And there will be a vibrant underground economy of off-market amphetamines.
Oh, and steroids. Let's not forget steroids.
For the hedge fund, not the VC fund, right?
Right. Yeah. But that's the difference between hedge funds and VC funds.
I want to see some job posts written in the voice of Harold Garfinkel. I would like that.
What is the voice of Harold Garfinkel? I only know him from his prose voice. I've never actually heard him, rarely heard his speaking voice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, brutal honesty, but selective details.
Well, one thing I can guarantee you'll get from this episode: brutal honesty.
Brutal honesty. People stuff.
And selected details. Yeah.
All right, America, where you're free to get a fucking job. Just remember, we're anthropologists, and we know stuff about people. People stuff.
People stuff.
This week is Monster Week, and we're talking about vampires, Nazis, and the Jersey Devil. But first, as is tradition, we look at something that's caught our eyes this week. It's What Fresh Hell. Michael, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is the most monstrous thing happening in the intellectual firmament of the United States or the Western world at the moment, and it is this retooling and attack on, of all things, empathy.
Oh.
There is this concerted push from right-wing rationalists in Silicon Valley to reconfigure empathy in a Christian framework as a negative, not a positive.
How do you even do that? The whole point of like the Christian Gospels is to love thy neighbor as yourself, which
That's what you
requires
think.
empathy.
That's what you think. But in this reworking, primarily pushed by Thiel and Musk and
fucking
those
Peter
in the
Thiel.
circle.
Why does everything we bitch about come back to Peter Thiel?
I don't know why. Because he's a very important figure in American life, especially now in the second Trump administration. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean seriously, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is the very important figure. Kind of. He like has occasionally will give interviews, and he'll give them to the New York Times will take an interview.
Oh yeah, I
with
saw
him.
that one. It was batshit.
Oh, it was crazy, right? But they have reconfigured empathy to be a negative. You should not feel empathy for people in need. You should feel kind of, I don't know, some disgust or something because you're strong and you're powerful. Really, it's this kind of like configuration of the muscular Christianity of the late 19th, early 20th century into a sort of 21st century container, right?
It's eugenics also, again.
It's eugenics in a different package. It's also very closely connected to this Maha idea that the only reason you get sick is because you're weak, and
you're
it's
a bad
natural
person
for the weak to get sick and die so that the strong can survive. It's eugenics. It's eugenics in this interesting, it's this terrible
brutal
container that has returned to us in this container as an attack, as a refiguring and rethinking of empathy. Empathy in this one is a form of weakness. We are empathetic. And then Peter Thiel said it was or Musk said it was the Achilles heel of Western intellectual thought. the entire 2,000-year lineage of thought about empathy in the Christian tradition was the Achilles heel of Western civilization.
It just seems pretty core to the whole civilizational project.
Does it, Dan? Or have you just been
how do they actually deal with, for example, the gospel and make it anti-empathy? Because Jesus is pretty clear, like in the Sermon on the Mount, when he's talking about who's blessed and who's not.
And who does he say is blessed? Blessed are the kingmakers, for they shall have all of the money and data. Isn't that what Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount?
Maybe I have an outdated edition of the Bible, and some new translations have come to light.
You know, there's this other thing this reminds me of, which I was going to say for a different Fresh Hell, but is very apropos right now. Have you seen these AI rereadings of the Bible?
I've seen the AI images of like jacked and strapped Jesus, which are crazy.
This is the non-empathetic Jesus that everyone in Silicon Valley is so excited about.
Fun
jacked
fact.
And strapped Jesus. That's right.
Yeah, the jacked and strapped Jesus that we're accustomed to comes from a couple of different places. One of them is a Danish sculptor named Bertel Thorvaldsen, who is the only Protestant who has a sculpture in St. Peter's.
Really? Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
And he actually is responsible for, he's one of the guys that's responsible for, like, the jacked and strapped, white, long-haired Jesus.
Ah, yeah. He's very popular these days.
So a Danish Protestant, by way of the Vatican, gave us that.
Okay. Well, with that, I
just want to say in no uncertain terms that this really does make Peter Thiel a piece of shit for doing this to empathy.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It is a terrible and stupid and quite wrong-headed and incorrect reading.
Yeah, it's bad.
The
and
there's no way. It in no way makes any sense at all, except in this twisted logic that tries to justify,
the thing that makes me crazy about this type of thing is it's like this sort of need to grab onto all of the signifiers that validate or give value in our society. It's not enough to be rich and aggressive, which we validate. Like, we have no problem being like, oh yeah, that guy's a fucking rock star. He gets what he wants. He has to have that and grab onto the Christian empathy shit. Like, there is no symbolic capital that he doesn't want to grab onto.
It's because, you see, Dan, because the rich suffer for the poor sins of the poor. Don't you see how this works?
Okay, we're getting back to the gospel.
This is the new rereading of the Gospels. The rich suffer. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk especially. Look how he suffered for the sins of the poor.
So this is like the medieval sin eater, right? He's literally eating our sins for us.
Yes, that's right. They're eating the sins.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do the sins have processed sugars or artificial dyes in them?
Soon they won't. They have under the Biden administration they did, but soon that's going to go away. That's a Biden problem that's going away now. Soon all the sins will be all natural and additive free. Very
People
healthy
stuff. Free range organic sins. No processed sugars. No added artificial dyes. People stuff.
That's right. All natural sin eating. People stuff. Okay.
All right. That was a fresh hell that oddly, literally lived up to its name. All right. Here's our first question. During the pandemic, I spent a lot of time at home. I'm an assistant clerk at a courthouse, so we went online pretty quick, and I didn't have too many places to go. In between my work and then on into nights and evenings, I watched a lot of TV and got to some stuff I hadn't seen before. One show I started was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
All right.
Couldn't get enough. Then it led to Twilight. No acknowledgement of books or movies. I'm going to assume both. Then What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, see, that's a great show and
Hell
a great
of a show.
movie.
I love the concept of an energy vampire. I'm sure we'll have occasion to come back to it.
Yeah. I've met so many in my...
That was one of those moments where it was like, academia makes a little more sense to me now that I have this concept.
I was about to say that, but then I kind of hesitated to say, in academia, you meet a ton of energy vampires. It's
okay. Now, then I led to Twilight. What We Do in the Shadows. You get the idea. I know you're supposed to empathize with the humans, but for me, the vampires were where it's at. They're strong. They live forever and can be really stylish. They party. They only go out at night. And the other thing is that they don't really kill people. They turn them into vampires like themselves. What's not to like? I think this is skipping over some of the more canonical things.
Wait. I think we have a mistake. The vampires do kill people
all the time.
All the time. They are, in fact, vampires, right?
Yeah, that's kind of their shtick.
It's kind of their thing.
they don't turn. Oh, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the question. Anyway, over the last couple years, I've gotten more and more into vampires. Yes, that is apparent by now. Movies, books, comics, costumes, doesn't matter. I want it all. I've started wearing all black, avoiding the sunlight, eating raw meat. I think I want to be a vampire. Can I be a vampire? Should I be a vampire? Is this normal? Signed, and this is a good sign-off, high stakes. Oh, this is a fun one.
Oh, okay, this is me thinking. Okay, first of all,
Can I be a vampire? Should I be a vampire? Is this normal?
I love what we do in the shadows. This is so good. I mean, I personally love Nandor, and it's, I don't want to be as familiar, but I think he's the greatest one. I mean, God, what do you say about this? I mean, look. Okay, this is a great question.
This is another question about hobbies.
It's a question about hobbies. Yeah, that's right. It's a question about hobbies. But first of all, let's just get something straight. This person is not a vampire, cannot become a vampire. That's not going to happen. So let's just take
let's take that off the table.
You won't
live forever. You won't.
Avoiding sunlight, that's fine. I know tons of people who avoid sunlight. Eating raw meat, I know a few people who eat raw meat. I would not. I would be very concerned about things
There's
like
a gradient
trichinosis.
of raw meat eating. I mean, some people like raw steaks, and that's more normal than having an entirely raw meat diet. Plenty of people like sushi. That's raw fish.
I like to go to the I like to have omakase at the sushi place quite often. I eat a lot of raw meat, but it's very cultured raw meat. So
I don't think that's what high stakes is describing.
But let me just say, getting all those things off the table. I mean, I think you're fine. You're just kind of a night person with a few weird personality tics, To your actual question, though, the actual question here is this normal? And the only answer is no, it's not normal. It is,
obviously
in fact,
not.
far
Obviously
outside
not.
what could be considered normal most places in the world.
When you go to the grocery store, do you see people dressed like Blade?
Yes, exactly. I mean, any biologist will tell you that most humans are diurnal, awake during the day and sleeping during the night. Most circadian rhythms are oriented that way. You can change them. That's one thing about being human. You can change a lot about yourself, right?
Yeah.
That said, I do think our letter writer can adopt large parts of the vampire lifestyle. I don't really think there's anything wrong with doing so. Abide by local laws. Don't drink anyone's blood unless you're under a doctor's supervision and
this
have
is a
permission.
big one. Whose blood are you drinking? Whose meat are you eating?
This is the real question. I think kind of also. I mean, my concern about the vampire lifestyle here is that she's a clerk at a courthouse. Is that right?
Yeah. Everyone's got a day job.
She has a day job. I mean, does staying up all night drinking blood interfere with your day job? I mean, how are you doing this?
This about the court system that she works in.
Now I was trying to wonder, what about these cases? You have some responsibility, the people who are coming before the court, to get things done in a timely manner, right?
Yeah, is there like a vampire nap built in? Like,
yeah, this part I don't get. Like, you are really burning the candles at both ends, I mean, you have to, maybe you just wake up early and do your vampiring in the early morning and then go to work.
Vampires usually have covens are for witches, but don't they have like pods or gangs, or are they solo? I mean, Nosferatu was a solo operator, but the vampires in Buffy, they always have a den or a crew or whatever.
In Twilight and in What We Do in the Shadows as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm unclear what version of vampirism we're getting here.
Yeah, this is true. There are multiple versions of vampirism at play here. And also, I mean, what about your social life as a vampire? Maybe are you just a hermit and you've just discovered that being alone in the middle of the night is perfect and you don't really like people?
Well,
because she was very happy when everything went online. I'm just at home doing my vampire thing. I don't have to talk to people.
Well, High Stakes says that one of the things that is appealing about the vampires is that they're stylish, they party, and they go out at night. But that's all a lot of they statements. It's not like I've been doing this. The I statements we get is I wear all black, I avoid sunlight, I eat raw meat.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're not getting I go out and party. I dress that. We're not getting that piece of it.
We're not getting any of that, no.
So I actually like that version of vampirism.
Yeah, the they version of vampirism actually kind of sounds like fun.
Where you're just hanging out like in techno clubs in Berlin or something, and
yeah, exactly. I also thought this has to be in Berlin too. This can only be in Berlin. This is the proper city for this vampirism thing, right? It's like,
I mean, one of our key demographics are East German vampires. So yeah, the question is, yeah.
And I have to say, East European vampires are of course the best vampires, the original and still the best.
Yeah. Okay. So
wait. I'm not done. One thing you could do here is investigate some of these startup companies that sell transfusions of young people's blood. Like, Peter Thiel had one called Ambrosia.
Maybe this is one of the big problems with America right now is our oligarchs are also like leaning way too hard into the vampire thing. It's not just a metaphoristic capitalist. Yeah. Yes, we take your labor and your wealth. It's literally we take your blood.
Yeah, that's literally it. I mean, but they'll pay for it. So but they don't want your blood, Dan. I hate to say this, you're too old now. What they want is they want when people pay for body fluids. When rich people want to buy body fluids of any kind, Dan, the body fluids they want to buy are young Ivy League undergraduate body fluids.
So it's eugenic or MIT. Again.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they want to buy. So. That's what I mean. The thing was that this Ambrosia got shut down because of the FDA. Of course, that's a Biden era FDA. We're in a new era now. Maybe RFK Jr. will change the rules back. What was the
FDA's problem with the Ambrosia thing?
I mean, it's just like they weren't testing the blood for things. They're just injecting people with infusing people with blood without doing like any. Their storage mechanisms were not good. They didn't have adequate testing facilities, and so the
Peter Thiel
of blood
corners.
Yeah. Well, the real problem with being a vampire here is that the possibility of blood-borne disease, catching one, is high, right?
Well, yeah. That's why there's so many restrictions.
Lifestyle in a lot of ways.
But that's why there's so many restrictions around transfusions. Coming out of the AIDS pandemic, we realized fairly quickly that blood-borne pathogens could transmit through transfusions.
But also eating raw meat is dangerous too, right?
Oh, next thing you're going to tell me that there's a problem with drinking raw milk.
Do vampires drink raw milk?
Do vampires drink milk?
There's definitely a problem with drinking raw milk because wasn't there a bunch of people giving their cats bird flu because of raw milk? I'm not making that up. That actually happened.
Okay, look, I love cats. They shouldn't be harmed by their idiot owners, but that is a pretty funny outcome.
There we go.
Okay, so I think we've covered the lab safety element of this question. Okay.
Do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the vampire lore because I think one of the things that's interesting about vampires is there's so many versions and variants of them.
Yeah, of course.
And the stories change pretty dramatically depending on like which version of a vampire you get. Like how much personality do they have? What are their habits, tics, abilities, etc.? Do they shimmer like glitter in the Twilight universe? Right? That kind of stuff. Yeah. And I like some of the older vampire features, like vampires have obsessive compulsive disorder. So if you're being chased by a vampire, you can throw a handful of sunflower seeds at them, and like they have to stop and count them before they continue trying to murder you.
That's true. That's true.
Similarly, and this was used to great effect in Sinners. Another vampire, which is Sinners as a movie is basically a vampire musical, which is hilarious when you start thinking about it that way.
Right.
All the vampires have great musical numbers.
That's true. Vampire literature and lore it's rich and fascinating. This obsessive compulsive idea is really great too. Maybe our letter writer has obsessive.
Well, this is what I'm wondering. Another one that I love is they're unable to come into your home uninvited. It's not your house; it's your home. Like they're not able to come into your home uninvited. And so there's a basic social relationship that has to happen with the vampire for you to interact with them, right? So you're not supposed to be.
I also like this element of vampires because they're much more polite than most people you meet.
Yeah, they're really, really
very
polite monsters.
Yeah.
And I think like Nosferatu was a count, right? Like that's,
Yeah, maybe it comes from like upper class mannerisms or upper class etiquette. But one thing you can count on a vampire for is proper etiquette.
Yeah. Yeah. They dress well.
They dress
the
well.
obsessive compulsive disorder lends themselves to being very detail oriented. They observe manners about being invited or not invited. They're not going to crash they can't crash your party.
They're not rude. They're very polite.
Very polite. So what I'm wondering is...
They don't insult you. You know, they're not out there to say, oh my God, I can't believe you're not a vampire. You're so stupid. You know,
lame.
Not like that.
No. They're a slightly more elevated version of monster. And the thing that I'm wondering is, like, how much of this other stuff has high stakes taken on board? Because, like, it's all well and good to be like, I like to dress black, I like to go clubbing, and I like to eat raw steaks. But are you also developing obsessive compulsive disorder? Right? Are you refining your manners? Like, has this translated into anything at the courthouse? Who do you let in? Who do you not let in?
See, that's my issue with this letter. Is like, this is just kind of, I feel like high stakes is just kind of using this vampire thing to avoid social situations, which is really the opposite of what the vampire tells us.
Yeah, the vampire is
very social.
Very social.
In fact, the dilemma of the vampire is that they're highly social beings who only come out at night when most people are asleep.
Yeah.
This is like this is the primary conflict of the vampire's life. You know, I mean, they want to be social, but who can they be social with? That's
their
the
sociality
tragedy.
Kills the people that they could potentially be hanging out with.
That's the tragedy of the vampire. That's the very dramatic element and tragedy that the vampire gives to us.
Yeah, and it's a metaphor for squandered youth and whatever.
Of course. It's eternal youth, but it's constantly squandered.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cautionary tale. It's sort of like, okay,
fine,
you want to live...
You know who should really read these vampire tales? Peter Thiel.
Yeah, I think he's...
You'd be lost on him? Yeah.
Yeah, in the language of the rationalists, I don't think he's taking on board new priors at this point.
Fair enough. Well, in sum, let me just say, I fully expect this person to contract some terrible disease and die before she hears our answer. Maybe being a vampire isn't such a good idea in the ways that High Stakes is doing it. If you're still alive, High Stakes, please email again, or better yet, leave us a voicemail on our new website.
Yeah, we would love to get some follow-up on this. So people-stuff.com, leave the voice message for us.
It's right there on the right-hand side, a tab called Ask Dan and Michael a Question.
Yeah.
Let us know if you're alive. Thank you.
Please. It's a wellness check.
Yes. Okay. And here is our second question. All right, here we go. Are you ready for this? Is a doozy. Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hit me.
Hit you. Hi there, guys. So I'm 19 years old, in the Army, and stationed at a base in the southwestern United States.
Okay.
There's not that many Army bases in the southwestern United States. This person's probably in Texas. Anyways, okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're talking about some of these new deployments on the border. Would that count?
I don't think so.
Okay.
One of the guys in my squad is really into history. That's always a bad sign. Okay. And we got talking one day about World War II. Turns out,
fuck.
I mean, I actually have a problem here. Why does everyone talk about World War II? People should be talking about World War I. Okay. Anyway.
That is actually one of the best details on The Sopranos, though. Every time Tony is, like, morosely shuffling around his home, like, the History Channel is playing in the background, and it's always like a World War II documentary.
That's true. Okay, anyway, get into World War I, leave World War II behind. Anyways, okay, turns out this guy is really into the Nazis, like, can quote their speeches.
Motherfucker.
Talks a lot about the importance of ethnic pride, and actually has some esoteric tattoos that I'm thinking reference Nazi shit. Here's the kicker. This guy's Hispanic. My question for you is kind of a vague one.
This is the Dave Chappelle sketch.
Not yet, but wait for the kicker here. It's kind of a vague one, but I was hoping you could help me out. That is the best Dave Chappelle sketch. I love it. Okay, why are people still obsessed with Nazis? Like, they were the bad guys, right? We kicked their asses. Well, mostly the Russians, but they were losers. And they did some epically awful shit. Okay, yeah. For what it's worth, the guy tends to skirt around the war crimes. But, like...
That's like a very short conversation about Nazis. If you talk about the Nazis, but you leave out the crimes against humanity,
it's like one of these books you're going to write. Nazis, everything but the war crimes. This is very short.
It's just like a Hugo Boss catalog.
That is such a good joke. I don't know if people know this, but Hugo Boss was the uniform designer for the SS. Did you know that?
Yes, that's my
Yes, that's why it's funny. Okay. But here we go. But like, why are people still obsessed with Nazis? Can't we just let them go? Signed, I did not see that coming. Okay.
Solid. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, why can't we just let the Nazis go? Well, as much as I want to say it's not complicated, it kind of is complicated, at least where I'm coming from. Not so much the moral evaluation of the Nazi regime. I think at this point, with our rampant mockery of the question, you understand where Michael and I stand. But why has it persisted as such a implacable, immovable, imaginary in our collective imagination? The Nazis.
I mean, I have to say, when I think of Nazis these days, the first thing I think about is Mel Brooks, The Producers. I mean,
Mel Brooks would be very happy about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, the Nazis were the bad guys. They did, in fact, get whooped, mostly by the Russians.
But what does that have to do with anything? If they got whooped or not?
Well, you'd assume that, like, if someone gets beaten so dramatically that, like, their entire regime is erased from, wherever the hell they were. We like winners over here. Why are we still sticking with the losers?
No way. People always romanticize the losers. I mean, look at this.
Is that why everyone loves Elon Musk?
Well, now, yeah. But look at all the romanticism around the Confederacy in the United States.
Lost cause.
The lost cause, right? It's the romance of the lost cause. Yeah.
So yeah, why do people still grab onto this and identify with these guys? I actually recently read an anthropology book that helped me out with it a little bit. It's called Living Right, Far-Right Youth, Activists in Contemporary Europe, and it's by Agnieszka Pasieka. And it's an anthropology about young people nowadays joining far-right political activist groups in Europe. And it's one of the important things to understand is that the Nazis were fascists, and like not fascist in like anyone I disagree with, like my high school principal is a fascist. It's fascist in a very specific historical sense, which is that they are nationalists that sought to unify around an ethnic national community with a charismatic leader that would be an avatar of it. And so you subsume the individual into the larger cause. Like, that's what fascism was, and that's part of why it appeals now, right? So you get Hitler with the German people, Mussolini with the Italians, and so on. And fascism sells the idea of the united national community and the sacrifice and subservience of the individual to the nation, right?
Well, I'll offer up this. I mean, I think the allure of fascism is that it offers a simple solution to the complex problems of plural society, which we talked about at length on this podcast, right?
Well, yeah.
This is the problem of how do you live with people you don't agree with and who might want to kill you or you might want to kill them, right? This is the problem of plural society. The fascism offers a very simple solution, which is let's make it non-plural.
Yeah. And like this is why fascism is bad, because it always leads to ethnic violence. It always leads to genocide. It always leads to ethnic cleansing. Like, it's just, that's what it is. And the thing is, even if you like ethnically cleanse one group, it's in the nature of these identity projects to always seek out more pure, more pure, more pure. Fine, you get all of X group out of here. Now it's only this group. Oh, but wait a second. There are new differences in this group that we did not notice before.
Oh, yeah, you can see that this week in the MAGA world.
Yeah. I mean, it's relentless.
As the Epstein files revelations have caused a schism. As Elon Musk's departure has caused a schism in the pure or impurity of the MAGA world.
I mean, my favorite like parochial example of this is any time like reactionary Christians in the United States score a victory, right? It's like, we're a Christian nation. We need to have the 10 Commandments in all the elementary schools or whatever. And like once you score like a tiny little minor detail, all of the vicious differences between Protestant Christianity in the United States come immediately to the surface. You start learning the difference between various Baptist sects and Pentecostals and non-denominational evangelicals. And you say to yourself, you're all Christians. Don't you just want a Christian country? And the answer is no. They actually hate each other. And if you cleared everyone out who wasn't a Christian, they would immediately start persecuting each other because this purity has no bottom to it. But it appeals to young people because it gives the illusion of order.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of these recursive problems. It occurs over and over again. It's a fractal problem, right? This problem of purity.
Yeah. Actually, like, the early anthropologists were really good on this point because they paid a lot of attention to cultural diffusion, right? How different cultural forms come around, right?
Come around,
the hamburger. That we think it's American, but it's obviously German, right? The hot dog or the Wiener Schnitzel, right? Also, obviously German.
Obviously German, yeah.
Right?
No doubt.
You could do this exercise with about any. I mean, tomatoes, right? Tomato sauce. What could be more Italian than tomato sauce?
Except it's from South America.
Yeah, tomatoes a New World crop. It didn't exist in Europe prior to the Columbian encounter.
This Nazi imagery is funny because it reappears in some places in the world. Like, take it up unproblematically. Like in Indonesia, you see it sometimes. And in like mainstream political discourse and so forth. It appears in the U.S. People adopt it. There's been Nazi movements in the U.S. off and on since the 60s or 70s. I mean, funny there weren't that many in the 50s or 60s, but
I wonder why.
But a generation removed, and then you start to see them pop up, right?
Yeah.
But I never worry about the Nazi cosplay guys. They're just not that serious. One or two guys trying to push taboos does not a fascist takeover make. I would say this: if you want to know how Nazis came to power in Germany in the 30s, one of the scariest books I've ever read is The Nazi Seizure of Power by William Sheridan Allen. I read it as an undergraduate, and it documents how National Socialism came to one small town in Germany. So it's a case study of one small town in Germany. And how the Nazi takeover happened. And it was like this. It was like what Hemingway said of bankruptcy. First it goes slowly, then all at once, right? So first there were some outspoken individuals. Then there's parades. And then local politicians started following the National Party's agenda. And then came the ICE raids. They're not the ICE raids. Then came the SA raids, the ICE or SA raids. I'm starting to get them all confused here.
The SS is the ICE of Nazi Germany, right? Is that what you're saying?
Before the SS, there was the SA, and then at one point the SS was a competing organization, and they killed all the SA's leadership in a night in a
the night of the long knives.
Night of the Long Knives. Yeah.
Yeah.
That hasn't yet happened to ICE, but I'm sure at one point ICE's leadership will all be killed by the Border Patrol and what they'll probably call something. But anyways,
whatever. Go on.
First come the parades, and then the weird part is that then local politicians start usually because there's a system of federalism in Weimar Germany, right? The Weimar Republic was a republic, and there was a system of federalism, kind of like they have in the U.S., though the institutions weren't nearly as
that's what they have in Germany now.
Entrenched, yeah. But so under federalism, you have things like you have local, state, and federal leaders, right? And it's very common that local and state leaders will often disagree with national leaders. Well, what happened as William Allen documents is that local leaders just start parroting the national line, no matter what, right? It's like whatever the leader says is what we do.
Yeah, generically, you are in big trouble if local politicians start nationalizing all of their issues.
Start nationalizing the issues.
Very basically, they're not national issues.
No. This kind of flattening of local issues and national issues turns out to be a really important precursor.
Just as a sidebar, this is what fucking pisses me off about someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a shit politician because she's nationalized everything. She doesn't take care of her district at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's that, and you see that kind of more and more, right? Because it's worked out for as like Congress people in the U.S. will simply try to acquire a national audience instead of attending to local issues.
Well, it's perverse because there's fundraising incentives for that, right? If you don't want to get bought off by an oligarch, you need to have small dollar donations. And so then the most effective way to do that is to nationalize your message.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, there's incentives for that. But so it's a kind of the National Party takeover. And actually what happened, the way the Nazis came to power was there was an election and they won.
Yeah.
And what happened was there was a deal struck with to remove. I think it was Hindenburg, the president. I'm doing this off the cuff, so please forgive me. I'm going to screw this up.
I know exactly. Yeah.
But there was a deal broker between like industrialists and the Nazi Party who.
And this is another bullshit thing. The industrialists, the oligarchs, always think they can make a deal with the fascists.
The industrialists, the oligarchs always think they can make a deal with the fascists and control them.
Elon Musk, are you listening? Elon Musk, are you listening? What just happened to your subsidies?
Yeah, no, exactly. This is exactly what happened in Germany. That's exactly what happened in Germany. So there were people like Elon Musk who thought, we'll back this Hitler guy because he will give us what we want. And then when he got into power, the reversal happened. This is exactly what happened to Elon Musk. He thought, back Trump, and then he'll give me what I want, which is like really deep into SpaceX and Starlink all over the government, and then.
Nope.
The reversal came. That's exactly what happened. And then come the SA raids. The ICE raids. Yeah.
So
they start kicking out naturalized citizens and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when you lay it out like that, we're kind of far down this road, farther than I would have thought. Yeah.
It's not good, man.
The takeaway and what makes the Nazi seizure of power, which I highly recommend everyone read, a very, very, very scary book, is that it was just a simple political process that unfolded without any major objections, like a frog in hot water, right?
So I think, honestly, the lesson, right, the question we got was, why are people still obsessed with them? Why can't we just let them go? I think we've established that in our somewhat scattered way. But the advice I want to give to not see that coming is that don't give a fucking inch. Like, that's got to be the lesson. You can't give a fucking inch to this guy. Tell him he's a fucking idiot and just don't brook it. Don't tolerate the Nazi shit.
Yeah, that's right. Tell him he's a fucking idiot because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the truth. What is this Greek word? Parrhesia. Parrhesia? You have to, tell the difficult truths,
Yeah.
You see a fucking idiot, you have to say, you're a fucking idiot.
And if they're a Nazi, you're doubly obligated to do it. You can't tolerate this shit.
Yes, and let me quote the great Jello Biafra of the fantastic band the Dead Kennedys, who once said, "Nazi punks, fuck off."
Yeah. Nazi punks, fuck off. All right. Don't give a fucking inch. So now it's time for Fixing Shit, the section of our podcast where we come up with solutions to life's problems. Michael, aside from fascism and vampirism, what are we fixing today?
We also did empathy, Dan. This has been a hell of an episode. Okay.
Jesus.
National parks. One of the truly great things about the United States.
Wait, what's wrong with there's nothing wrong with the national parks. What's wrong with them?
No, you have to say what's wrong with national parks.
All right, what's wrong with the national parks?
Nothing. They're nearly perfect. But now budget cuts have threatened maintenance, and this is pushed to open public lands to things like oil exploration that threaten even like the last untouched parts of Alaska. In fact, there was this push by Mike Lee of Utah in this last bill, the one big beautiful bill, who turns out to be a total asshat. Of all the asshats in Congress, Mike Lee of Utah is the biggest asshat.
Oh yeah, he's like a Bush League troll.
Oh, he's awful. He tried to put in this provision to privatize and sell off public lands, BLM lands, national forest lands, some national park lands.
Like millions of acres,
over
right?
and over. Yeah, it was a huge chunk of national land. It got killed, largely thanks to publications like Field and Stream, our new favorite Field and Stream. Oh, they ran article after article about it, doing everything but, nearly calling Mike Lee an asshat at every.
Yeah. What's your theory? Like, why does he keep pushing this shit? Is he just bought off by someone?
Yeah. He's bought off because of oil and mineral exploration in Utah.
The funniest thing about, and I can say it's funny now because he failed. This got stripped out of the big stupid omnibus bill.
This got stripped out, but the National Park Service is still on the. It got cut. It got really hammered by Doge, and there's going to be big maintenance issues. And it is a terrible shame because it's the one part of the United States. It's one part of the U.S. There's a lot of parts of the U.S., but that are kind of still have their nonpartisan love, right? And national parks are like that. Yeah,
and it's trite to say, but people are going to die. Like, if you understaff the national parks, people are going to die.
Oh, yeah, people will
because
die in the
people don't know
backcountry,
how to
yeah.
act around grizzly bears. They don't know how to act around big ruminants. They don't know how to act around geysers or big canyons. They don't know how to act around rapids. Right?
Oh,
Park rangers.
Worse than this. This was also in Field and Stream. Okay. Okay, but whatever. Okay.
This is just a Field and Stream recap
No, there's
podcast.
something worse. There's something worse. Actually, it's not just that people don't. It's like there aren't, like, the restrooms aren't being maintained, and garbage isn't being maintained. So people are like just like pooping in the parks, but they don't know how to poop in the park without. They're just They're just shitting on the ground, right? Which is a really terrible thing to do in a national park. You know, people are can be really awful. It's awful, yeah. It's awful.
So,
but thanks largely to the readership of Field and Stream, who spend a lot of money hunting and fishing on national lands every year.
Yeah.
That provision was killed, and Mike Lee has been pushed back in the little tiny pathetic box that he lives in. Yeah.
Good, stay in the box. You know, one of my favorite things about some of the public lands in the United States is that, you know, they were divvied up in railroad era times, right, in the 19th century. And so you had these giant square quadrants of land that were given out in a checkerboard fashion, where, you know, one
like
color
a section.
a section.
A section, yeah.
One section was given to private interests, railroad companies, whatever, and the other section was maintained as public land. But because it was given out in a checkerboard fashion, some of these public lands are islands, and so there's no way to get to them from private land. And you also get this weird question about, okay, the infinite reducibility of a point, right? If you go from one public section to the other that meets one diamond to the next, right? Can you only stay on public land, or do you trespass when you go over from the point to the point? And some of our robber barons and oligarchs insist that you can only trespass when you go from one section to the other, and they don't want to grant the easement. So this is like one of these things that is perennially litigated.
Yeah, that's in there as well. Yeah, it's true of like places like California, where all coastal property is open to the public.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It's like this was a problem at Trump's golf course in Palos Verdes a few years back.
I mean, this is an ever-present thing.
He was forced to grant an easement. Yeah.
Beautiful. And like this is a constant thing. Like every run of newly wealthy person in California tries to own the beach, but you can't in California.
But they can't in California because people love the beach in California. It's public.
Yeah. So
turns out that people love public land, right? This kind of problem of the commons turns out to be a kind of bullshit problem, because what happens? People love it. Yeah.
People love it, and they take care of it, right?
They take care of it, yeah.
And honestly, if you want to live together, if you want to do this pluralism thing, you got to make more stuff public.
Yes, that's right.
Well,
and also fuck Mike Lee.
Yeah. Fuck Mike Lee. There you have it.
Yeah.
Michael has fixed public lands.
We're
going to take a break now, and when we get back...
I resent that I share a first name with that guy.
We're going to take a break now, and when we get back, we've got one more question. All right, our last question. Howdy, guys. I'm a park ranger. There you go.
Oh, cool. Ironic. Yeah.
I work at Pine Barrens State Park in New Jersey. In case you don't know, the Pine Barrens are an unusual ecosystem where you basically have soil conditions such that you get massive forests of only pine trees. They're spooky to walk around because it's all the same tree. Anyway, one bit of lore that circulates about the Pine Barrens is that it's where the Jersey Devil lives. The Jersey Devil is supposed to be some kind of screaming bat-winged monster. As far as I can tell, it's not real.
Well, let's keep hope alive.
All right. Periodically, we'll get sightings, but I've never seen it, even when I'm out there by myself. So my question for you guys isn't, does the Jersey Devil exist, but rather, why do people keep making up Jersey Devils? It seems like you can go the world round, and in every place and with every people, you can find a boogeyman, a monster, a devil, and a demon. If everyone claims they see something like that, do you think there might be some sort of truth to it? The Jersey Devil notwithstanding. Signed, Devil Got My Tongue.
Yeah, that description of the Jersey Devil just, you could have described Mike Lee with that. That's what my first thing I thought of. But let me get this. Let me get my first thought out of the way.
A screaming bat-winged monster.
Yeah, that's an accurate description of Mike Lee. That's the,
okay,
right? This is like a literal description.
How about a screaming bat-winged freak?
First of all, let me get this off my chest. The Pine Barrens is the best episode of The Sopranos, and it's not even close. Okay, the Pine Barrens. If you've never seen it,
what people are hearing is not the Jersey Devil. They're hearing like a Chechnyan commando running around out there.
In which a Chechen commando plays the stand-in for the Jersey Devil, right? Yeah. They take this guy out to the Pine Barrens to, do the business with him, to kill him, right, and bury him in the Pine Barrens where no one will ever find him. And he escapes somehow, and they're stalked by him throughout the first, second half of the second third.
If I'm
of this
remembering
episode,
it right, you never see him again. It's just like their paranoia, right?
Yeah, and it's their paranoia that he becomes, for them, the Jersey Devil, which should tell you, right, that the Jersey Devil is kind of whatever you think it is. It's this thing you project your fears onto. And so one way to understand this phenomena is through René Girard's scapegoat hypothesis. No, it's fine. In a nutshell, there's a scapegoat for all things that go wrong. The Jersey Devil, in this case, or the Chechnyan commando, the ex-Chechnyan commando, right? In this way, like the devils or the Chechnyan commando's existence is like a safety valve for society. This is one way.
Oh, you're going functional. You're going functional.
Well, wait, I'm not quite done here. This is the Peter Thiel approved way to understand the
Boo,
Jersey Devil.
Boo.
But hey, let's go a different way with this, right? Sasquatch is another example of this kind of mystery. Chabacubra is another, right?
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. I should know this.
Sucker.
I'm in the right area.
Literally,
maybe I can't
sucker.
say it because I'm too scared of it. Right? Okay. These are all like
3 times.
No, I'm not going to. If I say it 3 times, it might appear in my living room. Oh wait, that's Bloody Mary. Oh,
if I say it 3 times, will it appear in your living room? Chupacabra, Chupacabra, Chupacabra.
Okay. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Stay out of the bathroom, Dan.
So Michael has just lobbed the Bloody Mary at me, and I have just lobbed the Chupacabra at him.
That's right.
We'll see how this goes for us.
I mean, the point here is that these are like creatures that are outside of our knowledge. They're mysteries, right? They exist in this world beyond our normal tools of epistemology.
Okay, this is actually a good hook, too, to shit on Peter Thiel some more, right? Because this whole scapegoat thing is very Manichaean, right? It's like there's good and there's evil, and you transpose the evil of the society onto the Jersey Devil, the Chechnyan in the forest. Most recently, we've seen...
But of course, for Peter Thiel, the scapegoat are the rich. Okay. The successful.
Right. Yeah. We're all scapegoating them, and we shouldn't be doing it.
All right.
Right. We should be scapegoating trans people and immigrants.
You know why we can do it? Because of their empathy.
Because of their empathy.
Weakness. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But I like the hook. I like the place that you were going, right, with the creatures that are outside of our knowledge, right? Because the Pine Barrens is sort of like, it's this spooky, eerie wilderness, right? Stuff doesn't grow there except for pine trees. Like, if you've ever been in it, it's bizarre. It is an unusual space to be in. And the interesting thing about the Sopranos episode is I think it's Paulie Walnuts and Christopher, right? They're the ones that are out there. And, like, they're, like, tough guys. They get what they want, whatever. But the second they're in a wilderness, they're fucking babies. Like, they can't do shit. They don't know how to survive.
They get lost and...
They get lost. They get scared.
They barely make it out. It starts to snow. They get cold.
Yeah. So, like, it's this fear of the open space. What do you populate the vacuum with? What's at the edge of society or civilization, right? Now we're going a little Levi-Strauss.
No, but that's right. What's over that boundary of civilization? What is out there?
And I think this is a key point, right? Because this is why the scapegoat myth doesn't work for this. Because it's they're not threatening us, right? They're not they're not parts of society that are somehow toxic to us. They're outside of the society. And I think there's actually an interesting takeoff point here. You know, the Peter Thiel people, they love Tolkien, right? They love Tolkien. They love the Manichaean universe, right? Yeah. The people that work at Palantir, they call themselves hobbits. And the motto is, we must protect the Shire, right? So Peter Thiel is locked into this Manichaean worldview where there is good and evil, and he is good, and you must fight evil. And the interesting thing about Tolkien is that Tolkien, like, his stories are kind of like that, right? There's good, there's evil. Sauron is absolute evil, right? There's no interrogating it. It's not like a what we do in the shadows situation.
No, I was just about to say that. There's no interesting characters like vampires in Tolkien's world, right? There's no this kind of morally ambiguous characters. Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Tolkien is that, like, he was a professor of Old English, Scandinavian languages, Old German at Oxford. And so he knew the fairy stories, right? He knew pre-Christian mythology, and he was taken with it, right? And you can see the fairy realm kind of creep in, right? You know, the hobbits and the Fellowship of the Ring, they're the good guys. They're going to take the ring and drop it in Mount Doom, right? Mount Doom, as unambiguous a villain as you can possibly, villain's lair as you can possibly have. I mean, Sauron in The Lord of the Rings doesn't even take corporeal form, right? He's just the all-seeing eye. But on their way, they wander into the forest and meet Tom Bombadil, right? And he's this character that's completely outside of the mythology, right? He can put the One Ring on and it doesn't affect him. He just kind of dances around and sings and wears his boots and has his wife. And there's this thing where, like, you see it that Tolkien is like, sure, he's Catholic, sure, he's got this Manichaean story that's going on, but he wants the outside. He wants the fairy realm. He doesn't want to completely write it out of the story. And, like, I think that's a little bit of what's going on with, like, the Jersey Devil or Sasquatch or the Chupacabra.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? We're not willing to give up the outside of our civilization. And maybe on a deep level, we understand that we can't give it up, that there is something outside of it.
You want the mystery, right? You want the mystery. Yeah.
And, like...
you don't want... The mystery is what makes it fun and exciting, gives it meaning. You know, if the explanation is too literal, too explanatory, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It just takes something that's alive and human out of it, right?
One other thing I will say about this, and this gets into my own personal conspiracy theories, but like humans have long memories. Humans have very long memories.
That is true.
As
longer
as
than
a
you
species.
think. Yeah.
And, like, one of my favorite examples of this comes from a book by Paulette Steeves, an indigenous scholar who wrote about the indigenous Paleolithic of the Americas. And for a very long time, there was this sort of racist, it's still there in a lot of archaeology, but this racist idea that the people of the New World came from the Old World, and they came via the land bridge, and civilization in the New World is very young, right?
It's this old diffusionist idea that...
This is not an archaeology podcast, sadly, but you know, there was this very shallow time
Be
depth.
sad about that. Yeah.
That, like, you know, people in the New World couldn't go back before 12,000 years. And her book is all about evidence of peoples in the New World over much longer periods of time. And she's got this one amazing story about an indigenous group of people that still tell myths about mammoths. Right?
Yes.
And they've been extinct, right?
10,000 years or something.
Since at least the last little ice age. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so people are still telling stories about mammoths, despite them not being here for over 10,000 years, 12,000 years, 15,000 years.
This is something true about folklore, especially as it moves orally. Like the Jersey Devil is a piece of oral folklore, right?
Yeah.
The stories about it is very durable, lasts an extraordinary long time.
Yeah.
In many cases, older than the oldest print records we might have.
And this is actually where I get my conspiracy theory. So as a species, Homo sapiens have only been around for maybe 300,000 years. And for a good chunk of that time, we overlapped with other archaic hominids. Neanderthals most famously, but a number of others. And so there was coexistence for long stretches of species life of Homo sapiens. And I don't see why we wouldn't have some sort of a memory of that via the fairies, the little people, the elves, the people that are outside of the society. Did I just lose you?
That seems like a good place to end the podcast. Don't be afraid of the little people or the Jersey Devil. He just doesn't want to be alone. And we should not leave Dan alone now either. You're with the little people, Dan.
Yeah, don't let them take me away.
No, you'll be here. You'll be here next week for another episode of People Stuff.
Will I, Michael? Will I?
Yes, Dan. Yes, Dan. Everything's going to be fine.
All right. Speaking of existential loneliness, that's the end of this week's show. This week's episode of People Stuff was brought to you by fairy circles. Does it feel like all the parties you've been to lately have been total downers and mondo snooze fests? Have you found yourself wondering how you could get your friends to dance and dance and dance forever? Wonder no more. New and improved fairy circles will get your party into the Feylands and dancing forevermore. Consult your doctor and settle your affairs before application.
And the campaign to impeach Mike Lee, which we're starting right now. Get that asshat out of Congress now.
You cannot impeach a senator.
Not yet.
Well,
not with an attitude like that. Let me put it that way.
All right. Read the Constitution, Michael.
I don't have to, Dan. I've been reading the updates to the Constitution.
So you're on Truth Social is what you're telling me.
That's where I get all my impeachment advice.
Yeah. Well, that's it for People Stuff. You can find all of what we're up to at our website, people-stuff.com. Sign up for our listserv, catch our latest episodes, send us messages, shop the merch store, people-stuff.com. Thanks for listening, and until next week, I am Dan.
And I'm Michael. And we will be here talking about fairies and whether or not you can impeach senators and so forth. I mean, maybe you can't impeach a senator, but shouldn't you be able to?
Maybe we just need to put a fairy ring in his office.